Okay. Oh, I'm here. What are we doing today? Well, friendos, today is type conversions. So type conversion is when you do a silly and you try and assign a value to a variable which is the same rough type of variable, but with maybe a different level of finesse. The biggest, the best, the simplest example is when you initialize an integer variable with a float value. Of course, in most normal circumstances, this will end up with the float values trailing any decimalized digits being truncated from the number. Boom. Cut off. So if you try and initialize an int with a float value, you will get the integer portion of the float value that you have typed in. So if you type in 3.2, your int variable will be initialized to 3. Not, that's a bad example. I can't say not 3. Not 4. And obviously an integer variable is not capable of holding a floating point value. But if you type in any kind of float point value, so that, for example, 3.8, that will still initialize the int to 3. Yeah. But type conversions are also used when you are doing arithmetic between non-concurrent types. Oh, hold on! I gotta send a message real quick for the meme. Anyway, returning to our publication here, type conversion. So, the second part of this example they have is some addition, a float added to an int, and then assigned to an int. So the float is fine. In fact, it's not a float, it's a double, which is a float with potentially twice as many bits per data unit than a regular float, but also potentially the same size as a float. Depends on your system, what your system is. Anyway, so the double added to integer 3, the 3 is converted to a double, floating point addition is done, and then the resultant value of your algebraic expression is converted back to an int for the assignment. In this case, it's 3.5 plus 3 is 6.5. You assign that to an int, does not round, it truncates. The int value is 6. When implicit conversions occurred, most expressions, values of integral type smaller than int are the first promoted to an appropriate larger integral size. Cool. In conditions, non-bool expressions are converted to bool. Cool. In initializations, the initializer is converted to the type of the variable. In assignments, the right-hand operand is converted to the type of the left hand. Yes, correct. That's what we just saw, where the double value on the right-hand side of the expression was converted to an int. In arithmetic and relational expressions with operands and mixed types, the types are converted to a common type. So I would assume that means that when you're working with algebra, when you're working with mathematic, shorts are converted to ints, ints are converted to longs or floats. Shorts could be converted to floats, I guess. Floats and ints and shorts will be all converted to the smallest concurrent size in the expression. If that's a quadruple precision special type. Oh no, it's integral type, so that wouldn't work. But I mean, yeah. So theoretically, everything in your expression could be converted to a long or a double, whatever. A double, yeah, the double is the float value one, long is the int value one. So everything could be a double, and all of the stuff, the right hand side of any assignment would be converted to a double if you had a double in there that you were doing maths with, and it was mixed in with ints and floats and shorts, etc. That's cool. And it does this automatically for you, as sometimes your compiler will tell you you will lose precision if you're going to be truncating decimal stuff. But yeah, that's good. Arithmetic conversions, here we go. There's rules define a hierarchy of type conversions. Excellent. If one operand is the type long double and the other operand is converted to type long double regardless of what the second type is. More generally, in expressions that mix floating point and integral values, the integral value is converted to an appropriate floating point type. So as I was just saying, if you have any floating point stuff, or if you have numbers which exceed the storage capacity of an int or a short, in which other things in your expression are using, all of the objects in your expression are converted to a common type. If it's all integer maths, it will be an integer type. If there's floating point maths involved, then it will be converted to a floating point. Excellent, it's fine, beautiful. You don't really even need to think about this, because it happens. It just happens. You can just type in maths, and the maths will work. Integral promotions convert small integral types to a larger integral type. Types bool, char, signed char, unsigned char, short, and unsigned short are promoted to int if all possible values of that type fit in an int. Cool. Otherwise, the value is promoted to an unsigned int. You see many times a bool that is false promotes to 0 and true to 1. Yeah. Char types woodchar t, char 16t, and char 32t are promoted to the smallest type of int, unsigned long, unsigned long, long long, or unsigned long long, in which all possible values of the character type fit. Okay, so characters are converted to their integer counterpart. So a character is just basically a number on a lookup table, and when you do the do, you get the shoe. Do you know what? I'm thinking real hard, and my brain is gonna explode. I think I actually have a TRRS spare. I think I cut it off my old set of headphones, in fact. So just a small amount of seconds to tell you the story of my TRRS. I have, as you well know, Razor Kraken headphones, which are basically broken. The amps in them have almost certainly run out of juice, and they occasionally turn themselves off and on again. But either the amp is bad, the power supply to the amp is bad, or the output filter cap is bad because when it does restart, it dumps all the electrons through the speakers in just horrible, ear-destroying bang, basically, which is not cool, which is why I've stopped using them, which is why I bought a new set of headphones, so I don't go deaf using them, risking, you know, real big noises near the ears, which is bad. It's bad for you, you know, to have big noises near the ears. Anyway, my main goal was to not contribute significantly to the global plastic waste problem by simply recycling most of the Razer Kraken en masse because I mean it is essentially just, you know, a microphone and two speakers wired to a small computer on the inside. Was gonna kind of subvert all of the computer wiring, remove it if possible, and wire just straight across the speakers. I was originally going to do like a balanced output and then a converter jack, but that's, yeah, I can't find a cheap 6-pin connector. So, sorry, I'll rephrase that. I can't find a cheap 6-pin connector that will fit on the Razer Kraken's outer shell neatly without too much hacking and swearing. So I ditched that idea and I ordered just a TRRS jack. I was going to do it, you know, the standard 4-pole headset configuration mic, left, right, and ground. And I ordered the jack, I ordered the cable. The cable came bang on time. In fact, I think it was a day early, and the jack is nowhere to be seen. It was meant to be delivered on Friday, and so I'm not down a headset because I can use my in-ears, but they're not the tips I have right now are not very comfortable. And also using in-ears for long periods of time, not great. And also they get dirty because they're in your ears, they're inside your ear canal, and it's not a fun. Like, as much as I tout them for their extremely good audio quality, the Xiaomi in-ears, the Pro HD ones, you know, the ones everyone loves them. They're rated like 5 out of 5 everywhere. The problems with them do not outweigh the benefits for like outdoor casual commuting work kind of stuff, but like for indoor, like recreational, I mean it's all recreational listening, but like for indoor, like it doesn't have to be lightweight, it doesn't have to be portable, it doesn't have to not crush your hair, etc. There's better alternatives. Even the Krakens are more comfortable in that regard. And yeah, so it was my plan to rewire them, and my plan so far has been stunted by, I don't know what. It says it's been dispatched, so I can only assume Royal Mail again. But the eBay seller may have told some porkies to eBay. Maybe they haven't dispatched it. Maybe they were like, oh shit, I've got this thing to dispatch. It was meant to get out like 3 days ago. Oh well, I guess it's just going to be late. Maybe they were pulling a dirty on eBay. Maybe they intentionally did it. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is I don't have a TRRS jack to hand, and I want one. Anyway, back to C++. Type conversion. I get the big feel we're not actually going to write a lot today, which is great for me because I don't really feel like writing a lot. We started late as well, so it might be an extra short episode. Huh? When the signedness differs and the type of the unsigned operand is the same or larger than the signed operand is converted to unsigned. For example, given an unsigned int and an int, the int is converted to an unsigned int. It is worth noting that the int has a negative. If the int has a negative value, the result will be converted as described in 212, page 35, where the value of the int variable will count down and into the original negative signed int's number of places from the maximum value of the unsigned int. Correct? Yes? I think so. it was signed ints that don't loop, right? Because something about them being signed is intrinsic to the fact that they can't actually be a loop. But unsigned ints are basically just not they aren't, but I guess in this circumstance you could understand them as being an array the size of their intrinsic value. So each bit of the int can be modified, and each it goes through. I don't know what I'm talking about. It makes sense to me. Fuck you. So if you go through your int bits, I don't even know what. Forget it. It's not important. I mean, it is important, but you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying? Huh? One way to understand the arithmetic conversions is to study lots of examples. So we got bool, flag, char, cval. What? Short sval. Oh, these are initializers. DOI. It's the values that we're going to be using as example values. Do 3.14159L plus the character A. This stands out to me as being a special pony, because there's two type conversions. First of all, the A is promoted to the integer value of A, and then the integer value is promoted to a long double to be added to the 3.14159L, which is a long double, apparently. Yep, that's fine. This is all fine. I get this. So if you ever have a character value, it's going to be converted to an int. If you're doing any mathematics with numbers and characters, the character will be converted to an int, and then that int will be converted as necessary to whatever numbers thing you need, which is cool. It seems to happen no matter the precedence. It would have to, really. It would have to happen no matter the precedence of the order of operations, because I mean, without data types that agree with each other, they can't do anything, can they? Hey, oh, exercises. There are exercises. Here we go. Given the variable definitions in section, explain what conversions take place in the following expressions. If f-val, so the float value is converted to a Boolean value. If the float value is non-zero, then if is true. If the float value is 0, if is not true, it is false. Dval equals fval plus ival. What was dval? A double. F is a float and I is an int. So the ival is converted to a float. The fval and the ival are added together, and the resultant float value is converted to a double and assigned to double value 1 value. Is it VA1 or is it VAL? Dear whoever did the typesetting to the C++ Primer 5th edition, can you use a font where 1 and L do not look the same? Thank you. I think it's an L, but it could be a 1 because it could be D variable 1. Someone can you can fight about this in the comments. I don't care. The factual information is correct enough. So now we have dval plus ival times by cval. So cval is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Cval is converted to an int. Ival is multiplied by the integer value of cval, and then that value is converted to a double and added to dval. Surely that must be the way it happens. Not that it would make much difference if it happened another way, but because of the order of operations, that's how it has to work, right? I hope that's how it has to work. Later tonight, we will be making music for the video game again. I'm not counting it as week 20 until I've finished that song and we get it in the game, so you can look forward to that. People on the itch can also look forward to waiting, you know, another couple of weeks to get the week, quote unquote, week 20 snapshot. Giving the following definitions: char, cval, int ival, unsigned int ui, float fval, excellent slam, double dval. Identify the implicit type conversions, if any, taking place. Cval, char, is equal to a plus 3. So, yeah, a has to become an int. The int is added to 3, and then... Wait. Yeah, that's fine. And then the value of the integer value of a plus 3 is converted back to a char. So you should have a char which is 3 positions along from a lowercase a, which I believe would be lowercase d, right? That's because that's how that's how Ascii, is it Ascii? I think it's Ascii. That's how the Ascii character conversions work. You have 256 characters laid out in a grid, and in a row you have the alphabet, and then in a row, is it 4 or 8 bytes? Wait, no, 1, 2, 4, it's 8, yeah. And then in a row 8 bytes on from the lowercase you have the uppercase, so you only need to change 1 byte to change a lowercase to an uppercase, right? Which means that 3 integer positions along from the integer value of any character is going to just be the 4th character in the line of that series. Surely, I think that's how it works anyway. We could check. We could write the code out right now. We could check. Fval equals ui minus ival times by 1.0. Ui is an unsigned int. Ival is a signed int, I guess. There was something about that, but I'm pretty sure that's only if the value is, if the when signedness differs in the type, the unsigned is the same or larger. Yeah, so it's the same size, right? Okay. So signedness in the same size, it has to be signedness in a smaller size to work correctly, to work the other way. So in this case, sadly, the unsigned int has removed from it the unsigned value of the signed int ival. Is that right? Yeah. It's times by 1.0. So I mean, it doesn't work that way, right? Well, it does eventually work that way, but there's no. So ival, the int value, the signed int value is promoted to a float value. That's times by 1.0 to get whatever the I value was as a float, and then the unsigned int minus the float value result of ival times 1.0 is going to be an unsigned float minus the value of the result of ival's float value times by 1.0, which is just basically there's an unnecessarily large number of type conversions going on here. But it results in the same number essentially. The value UI, or the value of the resultant type that UI becomes, which is a float, an unsigned float, is going to be from the top end. It's going to be ival amount less than the largest number you can store in an unsigned float. Right. So it does make a difference because a float is going to be larger than an int. I believe a float is larger than an int. I believe it's a little bit. I think an int is 4, right? And a float is 8. Or am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. But that will be system dependent, and it depends if it's a 32-bit system or a 64-bit system. It depends if it's system dependent. Fuck off. And then that value, that unsigned float value, is assigned to fval. Dval equals UI times by fval. So a double, which is twice as long as a float. UI is an unsigned int. Fval is a float. Unsigned int is promoted to a float value. Float value is times by the float value. They're promoted to a double value, and they are assigned to the double. Character value is equal to int value plus float value plus double value. Y'all fuck off with this kind of shit, you know? So the int value, they're all promoted eventually to double. Int to float to double. Can you int to float to double? Can you just go straight from int to double? I think you can go straight from int to double because a double is just a float with twice as many bits, essentially. Could be the same number of bits. Could be more than twice the number of bits. At least as many bits as a float, but up to twice as many? Right? That's the definition, right? There's so many stupid things. There's so many. Look, I love C++. It's the best programming language on the planet. But good God, is it atomic? Is it granular? And you have to know like every little tiny little fucking bit. That annoys me. But other than that, it's great. Beautiful. Fantastic. So yeah, everything is promoted eventually to a double. They're all added together. All the values are put together in a nice big bunch. And then character value, I guess I can only assume that it converts the float value. No, sorry, the double value. No, it's a float. It's a double. That's a double float. The double value is converted back to an int, and then to a char, because chars are axiomatic. There's a big word. Yeah. So you can't have a half a char, right? There is no value of a char between A and B. There is not, 1.5 char. Okay? It's an int thing. It steps in ints. It's an iterative. You know when I made that joke last week about it being a bit bigger? Yeah. My keyboard is really fucking dusty. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. 4.11.2. Other implicit conversions. What we got? Int IA10, array of 10 ints, int star IP equals IA. Convert IA to a pointer to the first element. What? Oh, right. Excuse me. I was under the impression that if you initialize an array, sorry, excuse me. Welcome to the Math Noise stream, guys. If you initialize an array, the variable that holds the array was a pointer to the first element in the array. I thought that's how arrays worked. Int star IP equals IA converts IA to a pointer to the first element. Okay. Pointer conversions. Several other pointer conversions. A constant integral value of 0 and the literal null pointer can be converted to any pointer type. A pointer to any non-const type can be converted to void, and a pointer to any type can be converted to a const void. We'll see in 15.22, page 597. There is an additional pointer conversion that applies to types related by inheritance. God damn, that seems like a very thick subject that we will dodge with extreme evasion right now. Page 597, that's nowhere near where we are, right? We're on page, it says 223, but I think we're slightly less than that because this is a digital file. It counts, the page count includes the front cover, the inside cover, the blank page that's left blank intentionally, the copyright notice, the proof marking stuff, contents, which obviously the book doesn't because they're all, that's all blank or Roman numeral kind of stuff. What's that noise? What is that noise? Some creaking around here. Woo! Epic Slam. Conversions to Boole. There's an automatic. Sorry, I dinked my tooth on my other tooth. You know? It just kind of slammed and then. I'm so sorry. I'm big apology for all that. There's an automatic conversion from arithmetic or pointer types to Boole. If the pointer or arithmetic value is 0, the conversion yields false. Any other value yields true. Correct. Yes, we did that. We covered that. Conversion to const. We can convert a pointer to a non-const type to a pointer to corresponding const type. And similarly for references. That is, if t is a type, we can convert a pointer or a reference to t into a pointer or reference to const t, respectively. Int I, const int and j equals I, const int star p equals and I. Oh, so you can use the constant reference or the constant pointer expression to create a non-editable reference to an object in your code, which I guess is cool. Is that a pure cast? Is that casting? Is this Unreal Engine 4 pure cast? Is this the back end of it? Maybe. Probably not. I think casting is an actual thing in actual computer stuff. Maybe we'll look that up one day. Maybe I'll forget about it after I put this phone down. Oh, speaking about phones, big news. While I have not bought myself a Valve Index, I have received a second Android phone to use as a 6 Degrees of Freedom controller with the RiftCat experience, which will be fantastic for me in my downtime. I'm going to enjoy that. It's going to be great. Alright, it's been half an hour, right? I need to oil the handle on this knife, right? Cool. Thanks for reminding me, clock. That's why you're there, to remind me to do the things. So, you may be wondering by now, this has happened for like 2 streams. It should have happened for more, actually, but I kind of forgot to do it. I packed the oil away, etc., etc., yada yada. So it's open pore wood. It's beech. It's untreated with any kind of plasticizer or anything like that. So it's natural wood, and I'm just trying to give it that enough of a embedded kind of linseed oil coating that it's not going to instantly turn to shit when someone starts using it as an actual tool. It's on a leather knife right now. It's a half circle. I think it's about 2 inches, 2.5 inches. In fact, it's exactly 400 millimeters point to point, I guess, because that's the size of the stock that I had. And basically, this whole thing, it's the first leather knife I've ever made in my entire life. It's for a friend who works with leather, and the whole thing has just been compromise after compromise, after compromise after compromise after compromise. I'm not especially happy about the way it's turning out. It'll be a perfectly functional tool, but the upkeep, the maintenance on it will be horrendous. I don't want to say horrendous, it won't be that bad, but it will show wear. Let's put it that way. It'll look like, you know, those old files that your granddad has in his iron trolley that he's had since the war, that he used to fix a commando jeep in the middle of the Sahel desert while he was fighting Nazis. You know, that kind of, you know, when you pick that file up and you look at it, all the steel is kind of brown and mottled. It's not overtly rusty, but it's not steel colored. You know, it's not that dull gunmetal gray. And the wood is darkened with hand grease and use and grit and bits of shit from Africa just embedded. Sorry, I've gone way too far into this. The point is, if you're going to use wood for a tool handle, this is the modern age. I regret even suggesting using this piece of wood for it. It was bad of me. It was bad of everyone in the scenario. I should have just offered to buy him a nicer piece of usable wood. I say offered to buy him. Offered to use a piece of wood sourced by me. Obviously, if he was to pay for the item, would be a passed on cost. Though I kind of wanted to keep it as cheap a build as possible, because never made a leather knife before. One, again. Two, never made a leather knife before. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, and it's definitely going to be a serviceable tool. It's definitely going to be, you know, it'll cut leather, I'm sure, like a dream. It'll be readily resharpenable. The only thing is, the blade isn't stainless, the handle isn't stabilized. So they're the two things that I worry about. And between those two things, in some people's hands, it may reduce the durability of the item. However, as you all know, there are surviving relics from medieval ages of non-stainless steel blades with wooden handles, which have done perfectly well. So, you know, with the right treatment, any tool will last literally the ages. It's just basically, you know, if you're willing to put the time in. And really, with a work tool, you shouldn't have to put the time in. It should be durable to a fault, you know? Anyway, I'm making two for the man, and one's twice the size, but it has half the curvature, because I was using the same stock. It's just a bar of steel I had to hand, really. Which I can't remember what I actually made from that, or I was planning to make from that, because it's carbon steel. Probably a plain blade or some chisels or something. Anyway, not the point. Point is, it would be very nice after finishing these two knives to go back with what we've learned and make him a proper one, a proper toolie. Oh, I've scrolled by accident with my hand. Conversion to const. Okay, we did that. Conversion is defined by class types. What was that noise? Epic slams, that's what that noise was. Class types can define conversions by the compiler will apply automatically. Compiler will apply only one class type conversion at a time. We'll see an example of when multiple conversions might be required and will be rejected. Oh dear. Right, okay. I'm just paranoid. It sounds like someone's sneaking up behind me, man. It's not cool. Can you hear that? I hope you can't hear that. Because I mean, it put you on edge too. Anyway. String st equals a value. Character string literal converted to type string. Good. While cin s, while condition converts cin to bool. The condition cin s reads cin and yields cin as its result. Conditions expect a value of type bool, but this condition tests a value of type iStream. The IO library defines a conversion from iStream to bool. That conversion is used automatically to convert cin to bool. The resulting bool value depends on the state of the stream. If the last read succeeded, then the conversion yields true. If the last attempt failed, then the conversion bool yields false. Explicit conversions. Okay. Sometimes we want to explicitly force an object to be converted to a different type. For example, we might want to use floating point division in the following code. Oh, that's cool. So int ij, double slope equals I divided by j. Look at that. That's beautiful. You get to use your ints, and you get to turn them both into doubles to do the maths. Named casts. Named cast is the following form. Cast dash name, angular brackets, type, brackets, expression, semicolon. Type is the target type, and conversion, the expression, is the values to be cast. Type is a reference, and the result is an I value. The cast name may be one of static cast, dynamic cast, const cast, and reinterpret cast. Ah! We found casting, everybody. Guys, girls, friendly viewers, we found casting. Right here, page 224. But it's not casting. It's not cast 2. Well, it is casting 2, but it's not Unreal casting 2. We haven't found casting, sorry. It's probably a function defined in the Unreal libraries, really. It's probably not Universal C, is it? I'm probably wishing on a prayer that it's Universal C, huh? Anyway, this is where you want to change the type of value that is holding onto the value. Change the type of object that's holding onto the value. So yeah, static cast is often useful when a larger arithmetic type is assigned to a smaller type. Cast informs both the reader of the program compiler that we are aware of and are not concerned about the potential loss of precision. Compilers often generate a warning for assignments of a larger arithmetic type to a smaller type, and when we do an explicit cast, the warning message is turned off. And in fact, I have used this function while I was writing the code that I didn't finish ever for the MIDI controller that I have not finished yet. Because the knob input, I didn't use any libraries to help the knob input when I really should have done. In fact, Stefan Gottsvinter, he was doing some Arduino stuff at the same time, and he even shared with me his the library that he was using for his buttons and his knobs. Because a rotary encoder can come in one of 3 types. There's a single pulse, there's double pulse, and there's quadruple pulse. And basically means when you move the encoder from one detent to the next detent, it will send out a series of pulses, and the pulse, basically the pulse rotation, whether it's 1010, 1010, or 01010101, determines which direction you moved it, and the number of pulses is determined by that in the datasheet. And I may have accidentally bought double pulse rotary encoders because they were the cheapest. And it's not like it's a problem. There's, as I previously mentioned, libraries to deal with these things. You know, you plug it in, you reference it, you set up your rotary encoder through that library, and then you have a rotary encoder that works correctly. Where I didn't do this. I took the raw value from the rotary encoder as a float value of 0.5, and then every time it hit 1, it would cast to an increment the incrementer, which is a round the mountains style approach, if you ask me. But it worked, and I had a thing where you could spin the rotary encoder either way. It would increase, decrease the value of X. I can't remember what I actually named the int, and it would display it on the screen. And I think you could press the button and it would clear the screen, or something stupid. I had it doing. I was basically trying to get to grips with how to make a UI on, one of those 2x16 LCD screens with an RGB backlight. It's gonna be the RGB backlight was going to be like the color of each menu pane, and then the text obviously would be text. It would be text, and then you'd spin the dial, and it would increase things. You'd press the button, it would accept. You'd hold the button, it would go back, etc. And really, in retrospect, I should just download the library that deals with that kind of stuff, because I want to use advanced button things, not just button is pressed, button is released, because I'm going to need button is held down, etc. And ideally, the button inputs, the rotary encoder inputs, should be either interrupts or asynchronous. I don't know how the Arduino deals with that stuff either, because if it's inline, if it's linear and just in main, it's just going to be a nightmare. Like if you're trying to do stuff, if you're trying to maybe like assign a value to a MIDI output, and it's doing that, while true, and then you turn it, either it's going to slow down real hard, or you're never ever going to get input from your rotary encoder because it's doing something else. Anyway, static cast is useful. Store a pointer in a void star and then use static cast to cast the pointer back to its original type. We guaranteed the pointer value is preserved. That is, the result of the cast will be equal to the original address value. However, we must be certain that the type to which we cast the pointer is the actual type of that pointer. If the types do not match, the result is undefined. Okay. So if you have a pointer to if you have a const pointer to an int, if you have a pointer to an int and you change it to a const pointer to an int, and you can change it back using a static cast, it's useful for manipulation stuff, useful to know, I guess, but what are the chances that you need to go around that many times, if you know what I'm saying? Anyway, whatever. Conventionally, we say that a cast converts a const object to a non-const type, casts away the const. Once we have cast away the const of an object, the compiler will no longer prevent us from writing to that object. The object was originally not a const. Using a cast to obtain write access is illegal. However, using a const cast in order to write to a const object is undefined. Yeah, so yeah, it has to be the pointer that's const, not the value inside the pointer. The value at the address to which the pointer points. Why you gotta make me say it that way every time, man? Brain, you evil. Most useful in the context of overload functions, which are described in 6.4, page 232. That's coming. It's coming up. Reinterpret Cast. Reinterpret Cast generally performs a low-level reinterpretation of the bit pattern of its operands, as an example given the following cast. Int star IP char star PC equals reinterpret cast char star IP. We must never forget the actual object addressed by PC is an int, not a character. Any use of PC that assumes it's an ordinary character pointer is likely to fail at runtime. For example, string str PC. Cool. Any subsequent use of PC. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, this is stupid. This is stupid territory. Don't teach me this stuff. So reinterpret cast could be useful in the case that you want to maybe get a set of glyphs from a thing, and you have a thing which has a set of glyphs, and you use an int to drive that. Maybe an int with bounds perhaps would be a good idea. It could be an object, really. Type expression. Old style casts. Type expression. Function style cast notation. Type expression. C language style cast notation. Okay. Advice. Avoid casts. Yep. Can confirm. Can confirm avoiding casts. Casts interfere with normal type checking. Yep. Don't do it. We'll do the exercise real quick. We'll blast through these. Can't believe I managed to actually focus for an hour on this. Almost focus. I've told, what, 3 stories? I gotta stop that. Exercise section 4113. 436. Assuming I is an int. D is double. Write the expression I star equals D. Oh, I times by equals D. So that it does integral rather than floating point multiplication. Assuming I is an int, D is a double. Whoa. Write the expression I star equals D so that it does integral rather than floating point multiplication. What? So you want me to write this so that D is pre-truncated to an int before doing the multiplication. It doesn't work like that, dude. It doesn't work like that. If you have values on the right hand side of an equal sign, those values are going to become the largest type. You'd need a third variable, wouldn't you? Did my brain just stop listening halfway through this? As I've understood it, you can't do that. You would have to either cast. You have to do a cheeky typecast on D to make it into an. Oh, in fact, isn't that what we can do? So we could do I equals I times by static underscore cast angled bracket int end angle bracket D end bracket semicolon, and then it would cast D into an integer value. Do you like this video? It would cast D into we cast D to an integer value, and then it would do integer multiplication between I and D, and then it would set I to the value of those two things. Excellent. Rewrite each of the following all-style casts to use a named cast. PV equals void star PS. PV is equal to what the 3 casts again? The static cast, constant cast, reinterpret cast. Okay, so that'd be static cast. Static cast, angle brackets, void star, open brackets, PS. I is an int equals int star PC. Okay, so that would be I equals reinterpret cast angle brackets int bracket star PC. PV equals and D. It's D. D is double. And D is a reference to the double D. PV is a pointer. That's fine, really. That's is that a reinterpret? Or is that a const? It's fine. I think that's fine. It says it's an old style. It says it's an old style cast, but that's just how you write that, isn't it? I know you write it star PV equals ND, wouldn't you? Skip. We'll skip that one. PC equals char star PV. So what's PC? PC is a char star. PC is char star PV. PV is not a char star. PV is a void. So that'd be a reinterpret as well, right? Explain the following expression. Double slope equals static cast double J divided by I. Double slope is a double variable called slope, and we are initializing it to the expression J divided by I, which I believe we established were integers. Fuck. But because it's a static cast to double, the integers are converted to doubles, and floating point multiplication, in this case division, can occur, and we can obtain the correct precision for the value of slope needed for this thing. Yeah, so thank you for coming to watch the live video. If you came to watch the live video, I know someone did. If it was Marion B, you'll get a shout out next video, because this one's boring and no one comes to this stuff. I do appreciate you watching the Dragon Quest yesterday. It was real cool. You sticking around for so long and helping me on my quest for dragons. Yeah. If you came to watch the video on demand, I know that's only really the YouTube dudes and dudettes. You're welcome. We don't really do anything in these. It's usually just basically a flat grey screen with a crazy man spewing maybe English through a cheap microphone for about an hour. But you stuck with, man, and every week you're there, and it's insane to me that you are. I'm not going to encourage you to stop. You do what you want to do. You do you. But at the same time, there are so many smarter, better, less not knowing anything about C people on the internet doing tutorials and actual learning materials. You should probably check out. I'd link them, but I'm lazy. You can find them. You found me, you can find them. Easy peasy, no brainer. I'm sure they even pop up in your feed. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.